Get this thug away from decent customers! Sarah Mitchell's shrill voice cut through the bank lobby as she stabbed the panic button. Marcus Washington had simply asked to access his safety deposit box, but the teller's face twisted with disgust the moment she saw him. Security guard Tony Rodriguez grabbed Marcus by both shoulders, shoving him hard away from the VIP counter. The weathered briefcase flew from his hands, contents scattering across marble floors as horrified gasps echoed around them. "Finally, some action," sneered a woman in pearls, phone already recording. "These people think they own the place." Finance blogger Emma Lane's live stream exploded, 5,847 viewers watching the humiliation unfold in real time. Marcus calmly collected his papers, his vintage Rolex glinting as he straightened his simple shirt. The branch clock showed 2:47 p.m. International wires closed at 3 p.m. Have you ever made a simple request that exposed everything wrong with power? Marcus gathered his scattered documents with quiet dignity, ignoring the snickers around him. His hands moved methodically, business cards, a boarding pass, financial statements, while Sarah Mitchell watched with undisguised amusement. "Sir, you need to move to the general line," she announced loudly enough for the entire lobby to hear. "VIP banking requires different qualifications." Her colleague Jennifer Hayes emerged from behind bulletproof glass, arms crossed. The branch manager's eyes swept over Marcus's simple jeans and worn jacket with obvious disdain. "Sarah's right. Our premium services have strict eligibility requirements." Jennifer's voice dripped condescension. "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at our community branch on 125th Street. The suggestion hit like a slap. Every person in the marble-columned lobby understood the coded language. Emma Lane's live stream comments exploded. Did she just... 125th Street? The racism is loud. "I'm recording this BS. Marcus straightened, briefcase in hand. "I simply need access to box 4729. The monthly fee is automatically deducted from my account." Sarah rolled her eyes theatrically. "Anyone can claim they have a box. Do you have your key? 3 forms of ID, employment verification, proof of income?" "The key is right. Sir, please don't interrupt me when I'm speaking." Sarah's voice grew sharper. "For safety deposit access, we require employment documentation, recent pay stubs, and a credit check for transactions over $500. Marcus blinked. "There's no transaction. I need to retrieve documents from my own box." "That's what they all say," Jennifer muttered, loud enough for everyone to hear. Several customers chuckled. The clock showed 2:51 p.m., 9 minutes until the international wire deadline. "Look," Sarah continued, "I can see you're persistent. But we have protocols. Why don't you come back when you have proper documentation, and maybe dress appropriately next time?" Her eyes lingered on his clothes with theatrical disgust. The woman in pearls from earlier whispered to her friend, "Probably doesn't even have a job." Marcus reached into his briefcase, withdrawing a platinum American Express card. The Black Centurion logo gleamed under the bank's crystal chandeliers. Sarah barely glanced at it. "Sir, anyone can get those online now. We need real proof of financial standing." The dismissal was so casual, so automatic, that even Emma's live stream viewers went quiet for a moment. Then the comments erupted. "She just dismissed a black card? This is unbelievable. Someone needs to sue this place." Jennifer stepped closer, her voice dropping to a stage whisper. "Between you and me, we've had problems with people claiming to own boxes they don't have access to. Identity theft is a real issue in your community." The words hung in the air like poison. Marcus's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "My community?" "You know what I mean," Jennifer said with false sympathy. "Look, I'm trying to help you avoid embarrassment. These boxes belong to successful business owners, doctors, lawyers, people who've earned their place here." A man in a $1,000 suit nodded approvingly. Finally, someone who understands standards. The digital countdown continued. 2:53 p.m. 7 minutes left. Sarah returned to filing her nails, each stroke deliberate and insulting. "Sir, you're holding up the line." Other customers need service. Behind Marcus, exactly 0 customers waited in the VIP section. "Perhaps," Jennifer continued, "you could try the check-cashing place down the street? They're more accommodating to people in your situation." Emma's viewer count hit 12,000. Comments flooded faster than she could read them. Screenshots were already circulating on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. # banking. While black began trending in real time, Marcus pulled out a Goldman Sachs private wealth management folder, the heavy cardstock unmistakable to anyone in finance. Sarah didn't even look. "Sir, I don't know where you got that prop, but it's not a prop." "Sure it isn't." Sarah's laugh was cruel. "Look, I admire the effort, but we see this kind of thing all the time. Fake documents, stolen cards, identity theft. It's practically an epidemic in certain neighborhoods." The coded racism was so blatant that several customers began shifting uncomfortably, but not uncomfortable enough to speak up. Jennifer pulled out her phone. "Should I call security again? Or would you prefer to leave voluntarily?" "I'd prefer to access my safety deposit box." "With what authorization? You haven't provided a single legitimate document." Jennifer's voice rose. "For all we know, you're casing this branch for a robbery." The accusation landed like a bomb. Conversations stopped. All eyes turned to Marcus. Emma's camera captured the moment perfectly, a well-dressed black man being publicly accused of criminal intent for the crime of requesting bank services. Tony Rodriguez, the security guard, materialized beside Marcus again. "Ma'am, want me to escort him out permanently this time?" "Not yet," Jennifer said with mock patience. "Let's give him one more chance to prove he belongs here." "Sir, if you can provide employment verification, 3 references from current customers, and a letter of introduction from your previous bank, we might consider allowing you to open a basic checking account." The conditions were absurd. Everyone knew it. That was the point. Marcus's voice remained steady. "I don't need to open an account. I need to access box 4729, which I've maintained for 6 years." "6 years?" Sarah laughed out loud. "Sir, our premium boxes start at $15,000 annually. That's $90,000. Do you have $90,000? She said it like asking if he had wings to fly. The clock read 2:56 p.m., 4 minutes until the deadline. "Ma'am, I understand you're busy." "Don't ma'am me," Sarah snapped. "It's Miss Mitchell, and yes, I am busy serving legitimate customers." She gestured dramatically at the empty VIP area. Jennifer leaned against the counter, enjoying the show. "You know what I think? I think you saw something on social media about banking discrimination and decided to try your luck. Create a scene, get some settlement money. We see right through it." Marcus stood in the center of the marble lobby, surrounded by whispers, stares, and smartphone cameras. The most powerful financial district in America, and he was being treated like a con artist for requesting access to his own property. Emma's live stream reached 15,000 viewers. The comment section had become a river of outrage, solidarity, and documentation. People were recording her stream, sharing clips, and tagging news outlets. But in the bank itself, nothing changed. Sarah returned to her nails. Jennifer checked her phone. Tony's hand rested on his radio. The woman in pearls shook her head in disgust. And the clock showed 2:58 p.m. 2 minutes left. At 2:58 p.m., Regional Manager David Klein burst through the executive elevator doors like a conquering general. His $3,000 Tom Ford suit and Italian leather shoes announced his importance to everyone within 50 feet. He surveyed the scene with the practiced disdain of a man who'd built his career on snap judgments. A black man in discount clothes, agitated staff, recording phones. Klein had seen this playbook before. "What's the situation here?" His voice boomed across the marble lobby, designed to establish dominance immediately. Jennifer Hayes scurried to his side like an eager pupil, dropping her voice to what she thought was a confidential whisper, but was perfectly audible to Emma's live stream microphone and 18,000 viewers. "David, thank God you're here. This individual is claiming he owns a safety deposit box, but refuses to provide legitimate documentation. Sarah and I strongly suspect fraud, possibly identity theft. He's becoming increasingly agitated and threatening." Klein's cold blue eyes swept over Marcus with the mechanical precision of a scanner reading a barcode. Worn leather jacket, faded jeans, scuffed shoes. The assessment took 3 seconds and confirmed every bias he'd cultivated over 20 years in premium banking. "Sir, I'm Regional Manager David Klein." He spoke slowly, as if addressing someone with limited comprehension. "I understand you're causing problems for my staff. I'm requesting access to my safety deposit box." Klein's laugh was as sharp as breaking glass. "Your box." He turned to address the gathering crowd like a performer working an audience. "Sir, do you have any idea what our premium vault storage costs? We're talking $25,000 annually, minimum." He let the number hang in the air like a club. "Our clients are Fortune 500 CEOs, entertainment executives, real estate moguls, people who've earned their place in American success." Klein's voice rose with evangelical fervor. "I seriously doubt you qualify for our tier of service." Emma's live stream exploded past 28,000 viewers. The comment section moved like a river in flood. 25,000? This man is unhinged. Someone needs to record Klein's LinkedIn for when he gets fired. This is the most expensive lesson in racism ever filmed. The wall clock showed 2:59 p.m. International wire transfers closed in 60 seconds. Marcus reached toward his briefcase with deliberate calm, but Klein snapped his fingers dismissively. "Sir, whatever counterfeit documents you're planning to produce, save your breath. Our security protocols exist specifically to prevent people like you from accessing assets that don't belong to you." The phrase, "people like you," landed like a physical blow. Several customers shifted uncomfortably, but not uncomfortably enough to intervene. "Sarah, call the NYPD immediately," Klein commanded. "Let the professionals sort this out." "Already dialing," Sarah announced triumphantly, waving her iPhone like a victory flag. "They should be here any minute to arrest this scammer." The word arrest sent shockwaves through the lobby. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. The woman in pearls actually gasped with excitement, as if she was witnessing live entertainment. "Finally," muttered a man in a pinstripe suit. "Someone with backbone to handle these situations properly." Tony Rodriguez positioned himself directly behind Marcus, one hand resting meaningfully on his radio. "Sir, you can come with me now, or you can wait for the police. Your choice." Marcus remained statue still. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut. Klein stepped closer, invading Marcus's personal space with practiced intimidation. His voice dropped to a stage whisper that Emma's sensitive microphone caught perfectly. "Listen very carefully, friend. You walked into the wrong bank at the wrong time with the wrong attitude. You have exactly 30 seconds to leave voluntarily, or you'll be leaving in handcuffs. Make the smart choice for once in your life." The insult was surgical in its cruelty. Klein began counting down like a game show host, each number delivered with theatrical emphasis. 30, 29, 28. Several customers had their phones out now, forming a semicircle of recording devices around Marcus like he was a circus act. The countdown was designed to humiliate, to break his composure in front of dozens of witnesses. 25, 24, 23. Emma's viewer count hit 35,000. Screenshots were ricocheting across Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Number 2 nationally, right behind a celebrity scandal. 20, 19, 18. Marcus opened his weathered briefcase with surgical precision. 15, 14, 13. He withdrew a sleek tablet, powering it on with maddening slowness while Klein's countdown continued. 10, 9, 8. The login screen appeared. Washington Capital Management, private banking portal. 7, 6, 5. Marcus entered his biometric password with one finger while Klein performed for his audience. 4, 3, 2. The screen loaded. Account balance, $847,392,156.73. 1. Time's up. Klein gestured dramatically to Tony. Remove this con artist immediately. But Tony Rodriguez had frozen mid-stride. His eyes were locked on the tablet screen like a deer caught in headlights. Klein continued his performance, oblivious to the seismic shift occurring 3 feet behind him. Ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely apologize for this disruption. At First National, we maintain the highest security standards to protect our legitimate clients from exactly this type of fraudulent behavior. Scattered applause broke out. The woman in pearls started a slow clap. A man near the window actually said, "Bravo!" Marcus turned the tablet screen toward Klein with the fluid motion of a magician revealing his final trick. Klein glanced down with practiced dismissal, then looked again. His face underwent a remarkable transformation, confusion melting into recognition crystallizing into absolute horror. The blood drained from his cheeks like someone had opened a valve. What? What am I looking at? Klein's voice cracked like a teenager's. My account balance, Marcus replied with quiet dignity. Sarah leaned over to look, still riding high on righteous indignation. Sir, anyone can fake a banking app. She saw the screen. Her nail file hit the marble floor with a sharp crack that echoed through the suddenly silent lobby. Jennifer pressed closer, squinting at the display like she was trying to read hieroglyphics. Her mouth formed a perfect circle of shock. Emma zoomed her camera tight on their faces, capturing every microsecond of dawning realization. Her 41,000 viewers could watch arrogance transform into panic in high definition. Klein fumbled for his own company tablet with hands that shook like autumn leaves. He logged into First National's internal client management system and typed frantically, Washington, Marcus T. The client profile loaded like a bomb detonating. Tier 1 private client, maximum priority. Total assets under management, $847,392,156. Annual fee revenue generated, $34,700,000. Primary relationship manager, Robert Morrison, CEO client. Since March 15, 2019. Safety deposit box, number 4729, premium vault access. VIP status, Founders Circle. Klein stared at the screen like he was reading his own death certificate. Police sirens wailed outside, growing louder. 3 NYPD officers pushed through the revolving doors, scanning for the reported disturbance. Klein's phone began buzzing like an angry hornet. Text after text, call after call, the bank's automated alert systems had detected a code-red client service failure and were notifying every executive in the corporate hierarchy simultaneously. Regional President, Carol Martinez. Chief Risk Officer, Head of Private Wealth Management. And at the very top of the notification list, CEO Robert Morrison himself. All calling Klein at exactly the same moment. His phone screen looked like a Christmas tree having a seizure. Marcus checked his vintage Rolex. the same watch Sarah had dismissed as worthless 15 minutes earlier. 3:01 p.m. The international wire transfer window had just closed, and Marcus smiled for the first time since walking into the bank. The three NYPD officers stood in the marble lobby like actors who'd wandered onto the wrong stage. They'd responded to a call about suspected identity theft and potential robbery planning, but the scene before them defied every expectation. "Officers!" Klein waved frantically, his voice pitching higher with each syllable. "False alarm! Complete misunderstanding. Everything's absolutely perfectly fine here. Sergeant Maria Rodriguez, no relation to Tony the security guard," fixed Klein with the dead-eyed stare that 20 years on the force had perfected. She'd seen plenty of panicked executives, but this level of manic energy usually meant someone was about to lose their job. "We received a specific complaint about fraud and threatening behavior," she said, consulting her notepad with deliberate slowness. "Caller reported a suspicious individual attempting to access banking assets through deception and forged documents." Every eye in the lobby turned to Klein like spotlights converging on a stage. Emma's livestream camera captured his face in brutal high definition as 47,000 viewers watched him realize he'd just accused his bank's largest private client of planning federal crimes. "No, no, no," Klein babbled, sweat beading on his forehead despite the Arctic air conditioning. "Mr. Washington he's an extremely valued client. Extremely valued. Our most valued, actually. Premium tier. VIP status. Founders Circle member." The words tumbled out like apologies from a broken slot machine. Marcus stepped forward with the measured calm of a surgeon approaching an operating table. "Officers, I simply requested access to safety deposit box 4729, which I've maintained at this institution for 6 years. These employees chose to refuse service and summon you instead." Sergeant Rodriguez glanced at the tablet still glowing in Marcus's hands. Even from 6 feet away, the account balance was impossible to miss. 847 million, with change. "Let me understand this correctly," she said, her voice dripping with professional skepticism. "You called in a fraud complaint against someone with an $800 million account balance at your own bank?" The question detonated in the lobby like a flashbang grenade. Klein's phone erupted in a symphony of electronic panic buzzes, chimes, ringtones, and notification sounds, creating a digital orchestra of career destruction. The display showed 19 missed calls from CEO Robert Morrison alone. Text messages flooded the screen faster than human eyes could process. "What the hell is happening down there? Washington is our biggest client. Fix this immediately, or you're finished. The board is asking questions. You're fired if this isn't resolved in 5 minutes. "Officers," Klein stammered, his corporate confidence dissolving like sugar in rain. "Perhaps we could discuss this privately? Away from the cameras?" "Actually," Marcus interjected with silk-wrapped steel in his voice, "I'd prefer everything remain completely transparent. After all, my public character assassination was quite entertaining for everyone present." He gestured elegantly toward Emma's live stream, which had exploded to 58,000 viewers and was climbing like a rocket. The comment section had become a digital stampede. "This man is about to own this entire bank. Klein's about to become the most expensive mistake in banking history. Someone needs to live stream his unemployment interview. This is better than Netflix." Sarah Mitchell had pressed herself against the far wall like she was trying to phase through the marble and escape into another dimension. Her earlier smugness had been completely replaced by the wide-eyed terror of someone watching their professional life explode in slow motion. Jennifer Hayes stood beside her like a statue, visible mathematical calculations happening behind her eyes as she tried to compute exactly how catastrophically she'd just destroyed her career trajectory. Her face had gone through several color changes, finally settling on a sickly green. Marcus opened a second banking application on his tablet with the theatrical precision of a master magician revealing his final devastating trick. The screen loaded. Washington Capital Management. Operating account. Available for immediate wire transfer. $200 million. Pre-authorized beneficiary account. J.P. Morgan Chase. Private banking services account holder. Washington Capital Management, LLC. Routing number. Already confirmed and verified. Transfer memo field displayed. Account closure due to systematic discriminatory service. First National Manhattan Branch. Reference, Incident 092625. His finger hovered over the bright red Execute Transfer button like the blade of a guillotine suspended over a neck. Klein's eyes bulged as the full implications crashed over him like a tsunami. $200 million. Gone. In one click. Because he'd assumed a black man couldn't possibly belong in his precious VIP section. "Mr. Washington, please!" Klein's voice cracked like a teenager asking for prom mercy. "Let's discuss this rationally, in private, in my office, with champagne, very expensive champagne, Dom Perignon, whatever you want." "We'll discuss it right here," Marcus replied with glacial calm, "where everyone can witness your sudden personality transformation." The police officers exchanged professional glances. This was clearly a civil matter metastasizing into a corporate apocalypse, definitely not their jurisdiction or their problem. "Gentlemen," Sergeant Rodriguez announced with barely concealed amusement, "unless someone's filing criminal charges, we're departing. Try not to waste police resources on your customer service catastrophes in the future." As the officers exited through the revolving doors, Klein's phone rang with the distinctive tone he'd programmed for one specific contact. Robert Morrison, CEO and chairman of the board. Klein's hands trembled like earthquake aftershocks as he answered the call, his terror preventing him from taking it off speakerphone. "David!" Morrison's voice erupted through the lobby speakers like volcanic fury. "What in the absolute unmitigated hell is happening at that branch? I'm getting emergency alerts that Marcus Washington is about to execute a $200 million transfer to J.P. Morgan Chase." Klein opened his mouth like a fish, gasping for water, but no sound emerged. "How exactly do you explain that you'd just publicly accused your institution's most valuable client of being a sophisticated criminal?" Morrison's voice continued, each word precision-engineered for maximum damage. "David? David, are you still breathing? Because if Marcus Washington walks away from our bank, you're not just terminated. You're personally liable for the revenue loss under Section 12 of your Executive Accountability Agreement." Emma zoomed her camera lens tight on Klein's face, capturing every micro-expression of dawning existential horror. Her 64,000 viewers could watch a man's entire professional existence collapse in real time, frame by frame. "Mr. Morrison," Marcus interjected with supernatural calm, "this is Marcus Washington speaking. I'm currently standing in your Manhattan flagship branch, where your exemplary staff has just provided the most educational customer service experience of my entire banking career." Complete silence from the phone. Then, barely audible, "Marcus?" "Dear God, Marcus, what happened? Are you hurt? Are you safe?" "I'm perfectly fine, Robert. Though I have learned some absolutely fascinating insights about your institutional culture today." Klein looked like he might actually collapse. Sarah had begun crying quietly against the wall. Jennifer was frantically Googling emergency career change strategies on her phone. Marcus glanced around the lobby with the serene expression of a man holding all the cards at the customers who'd watched his humiliation with popcorn-level entertainment, at the staff who'd treated him like a street criminal, at the live stream documenting every second for digital posterity. "Robert, I need exactly 60 seconds to decide whether to complete this transfer." He held up his tablet, finger still poised over the nuclear option. 60 seconds, starting now. The lobby clock's second hand moved with merciless precision as Marcus's 60-second countdown began. Klein stood frozen like a statue in a museum, watching his career evaporate in real time while sweat pooled beneath his expensive shirt collar and dripped onto his Italian leather shoes. 58 seconds, Marcus announced with the surgical calm of a doctor delivering a terminal diagnosis. Morrison's voice crackled through the phone speaker like static electricity during a thunderstorm. "Marcus, please, whatever happened down there, we can fix this immediately. We can fix anything. David, for the love of God, talk to me right now. What exactly did you do to our most important client?" Klein's mouth opened and closed repeatedly like a fish drowning in air. "How do you possibly explain to your CEO that you'd summoned federal law enforcement officers to arrest an $847 million client for the apparent crime of requesting access to his own legally owned property while existing as a black man in your bank?" 55 seconds remaining. Emma's live stream had exploded beyond all reasonable expectations, shattering every viewer record she'd ever imagined, 73,000 people, and climbing like a rocket ship heading for orbit. The comment section moved faster than human comprehension, a digital waterfall of outrage and anticipation. "Do it! Transfer every single penny. This is the most expensive racism lesson in American history." Klein looks like he's watching his own public execution. Someone needs to call an ambulance for Klein before he has a stroke. I'm recording this to show my kids what justice looks like. The woman in pearls, who'd been so thoroughly entertained by Marcus's earlier public humiliation, now pressed herself against the far marble wall like she was trying to disappear into the stone itself. Her earlier smugness completely replaced by the horrified expression of someone watching a natural disaster unfold in slow motion. 50 seconds remaining. Morrison's desperation grew more palpable and pathetic with each passing moment. "David! Jennifer! Sarah! Somebody! Anybody! Explain what's happening before I have a complete nervous breakdown and end up in cardiac intensive care." Jennifer Hayes finally located her voice somewhere in the depths of her terror, though it emerged as barely more than a guilty whisper carried on trembling breath. "Sir, We genuinely believed he was attempting sophisticated fraud. He appeared. He didn't present like someone who could possibly afford our premium services or belong in our VIP section." "Present how exactly, Jennifer?" Marcus's voice cut through her stammering explanation like a surgeon's scalpel slicing through infected tissue. Her face crumpled with the crushing weight of her own damning words. Like someone who belonged among our elite clientele. The admission hung in the marble-columned air like a confession at a war crimes tribunal, impossible to retract or explain away. 45 seconds remaining. Klein suddenly exploded into a panicked, desperate speech like a dam bursting under pressure. "Mr. Washington, you absolutely have to understand our position here. We encounter sophisticated fraud attempts every single day of the week. People claiming ownership of accounts they've never seen, using stolen identities, forged documents. We were simply being professionally cautious and following established security protocols." Marcus's finger drifted incrementally closer to the glowing red execute button with the inevitability of a falling guillotine blade. "Professionally cautious? You called me a dangerous thug within the first 30 seconds of our interaction, Mr. Klein. Your teller suggested I belonged at a payday loan establishment or check cashing store. Your branch manager recommended I try the community branch up in Harlem, as if successful black professionals couldn't possibly exist in Manhattan's financial district. 40 seconds remaining." Morrison's panic reached absolute fever pitch, his voice cracking like thin ice under pressure. "Marcus, I'm literally sprinting to my helicopter right now. My pilot is spinning up the rotors as we speak. Please, I'm begging you, don't make any permanent, irreversible decisions until I can personally arrive and fix this complete disaster." The raw desperation in the billionaire CEO's voice was almost pathetic to witness. A man who controlled billions of dollars and thousands of employees, reduced to begging like a small child who'd accidentally broken his mother's most precious family heirloom. 35 seconds remaining. Sarah Mitchell had started hyperventilating against the wall, her breathing coming in short, sharp gasps as her earlier supreme confidence completely shattered into microscopic pieces. Tony Rodriguez, the security guard who'd physically manhandled Marcus earlier, had backed so far away from the unfolding catastrophe that he was practically standing out on the sidewalk, as if mere proximity to the situation might somehow implicate him in the approaching corporate apocalypse. 30 seconds remaining. Klein suddenly abandoned every shred of dignity and executive bearing, dropping to his knees on the cold marble floor like a medieval peasant prostrating himself before an absolute monarch. His $3,000 Tom Ford suit crumpled against the stone as he completely surrendered his professional pride. "Mr. Washington! Please, I'm literally begging you on my knees. I have 3 young children, a massive mortgage, college tuition payments. I was completely, utterly, inexcusably wrong about everything. I'll do absolutely anything. Resign immediately. Take a massive demotion. Issue public apologies. Just please don't destroy our entire branch over my incredible stupidity." 25 seconds remaining. Marcus looked down at the groveling executive with the detached, scientific curiosity of an entomologist studying a particularly interesting specimen under laboratory conditions. "Mr. Klein, exactly 25 minutes ago, you were fully prepared to have me arrested and charged with multiple federal crimes. Now you're literally prostrating yourself on marble flooring. What precisely changed in those 25 minutes? Klein's voice cracked like breaking glass under enormous pressure. "Everything. Absolutely everything. I learned I was completely, catastrophically wrong about everything. You learned you got caught making racist assumptions. There's a very significant difference between genuine remorse and panic at consequences." 20 seconds remaining. The entire marble lobby had gone silent except for Sarah's quiet, desperate sobbing and the soft, methodical tick of the wall clock marking time like a metronome of doom. Even Emma's live stream commentary had gone completely quiet. 127,000 viewers holding their collective breath as they watched the most expensive customer service failure in American banking history approach its devastating climax. 15 seconds remaining. Klein closed his eyes tightly, like a condemned man facing a firing squad, his face contorted in anticipatory agony. 10 seconds remaining. Marcus's finger touched the glowing screen with the delicate precision of a concert pianist striking a particularly important key during a performance. 5 seconds remaining. The execute transfer button pulsed red beneath his fingertip like a beating heart. 4 seconds. Klein made a sound somewhere between a wounded animal's cry and a human sob. 3 seconds. Morrison's voice crackled through the phone speaker. "Marcus? Marcus? What's that electronic sound? David, why aren't you responding to me?" 2 seconds. The entire lobby seemed to hold its breath. 1 second. Marcus pressed the button with the absolute finality of a judge's gavel ending a trial. Wire transfer initiated. $200 million. The tablet screen immediately displayed a progress bar with mechanical, unstoppable precision. Processing wire transfer to J.P. Morgan Chase Private Banking Services. Klein collapsed completely onto the marble floor, his forehead actually touching the stone in a position of absolute total defeat. The progress bar advanced relentlessly, each percentage point representing millions of dollars flowing away from First National Bank. 10% complete, 20% complete, 30% complete. Morrison's voice crackled through the speakerphone with increasing desperation. "Marcus? Marcus? What's that notification sound I'm hearing? David, answer me right now or you're terminated immediately. 45% complete. 55% complete, 65% complete." Sarah Mitchell's legs gave out completely beneath her. She slid down the marble wall like melting ice cream on a hot sidewalk, with Jennifer catching her as both women dissolved into tears of absolute professional devastation and career destruction. 75% complete, 85% complete, 90% complete. Emma's viewer count had completely shattered every conceivable record, exploding past 150,000 people watching live. Screenshots of the transfer progress bar were ricocheting across every social media platform in existence at light speed. #1 trending topic globally, surpassing celebrity scandals and political crises. 95% complete, 98% complete, 100% complete. Wire transfer completed successfully. Transaction reference ID WT202509265678832. Date/timestamp 09/2025-150947. EST transfer amount $200 million. Processing status successfully completed and confirmed. Receiving institution J.P. Morgan Chase. Private banking. New account balance $647,392,156.73. Marcus turned the tablet screen toward the entire lobby like a professor displaying a crucial lesson to his students. Every single person in the marble hall could see the brutal confirmation in high-definition detail. The silence that followed was so complete and profound it felt almost apocalyptic. Klein remained prostrate on the floor, staring at intricate marble patterns like they contained the fundamental secrets of the universe. Morrison's voice emerged as barely more than a strangled whisper carried on electronic static. Did he just $200 million? Gone? Robert, Marcus replied with the supernatural calm of a man casually discussing tomorrow's weather forecast. I have successfully transferred exactly $200 million to J.P. Morgan Chase. Your Manhattan flagship branch has just lost its largest private client in the most spectacularly public way imaginable. The sound that Morrison made through the phone wasn't quite human, part anguished scream, part desperate sob, part death rattle of a dying career. But Marcus wasn't remotely finished with his systematic financial surgery. 23 minutes after Marcus's devastating financial exodus, CEO Robert Morrison burst through the revolving doors like a man fleeing a burning building. His usually immaculate appearance was disheveled, tie askew, hair windblown from the helicopter ride, expensive suit wrinkled from panic-induced perspiration. His eyes immediately found the carnage. Klein remained on his knees beside the VIP counter, staring at the marble floor like a broken toy. Sarah Mitchell sat slumped against the wall, mascara streaking down her cheeks in black rivers. Jennifer Hayes clutched her phone with white knuckles, frantically updating her LinkedIn profile with the desperation of someone trying to escape a sinking ship. And in the center of it all, Marcus Washington sat calmly in a leather chair, briefcase beside him, reading emails on his phone as if he were waiting for a delayed flight. Marcus, Morrison's voice cracked like adolescent vocal cords. Thank God you waited. Robert. Marcus looked up with the serene expression of a man who'd just completed a satisfying day's work. Punctual as always. How was the flight? Morrison glanced around the lobby at Emma's live stream still running with 89,000 viewers, at the customers whispering and pointing, at his employees in various states of professional devastation. We need to talk. Privately. Everything happens publicly today, Robert. Your staff made sure of that when they turned my simple banking request into performance art. Morrison winced but nodded. He approached Marcus like a man walking through a minefield, each step calculated to avoid further explosions. I've reviewed the security footage, Morrison began, his voice carefully measured. What happened here was completely unacceptable, inexcusable, a fundamental violation of everything our institution claims to represent. Klein looked up with desperate hope, as if Morrison's words might somehow reverse the financial catastrophe he'd triggered. Morrison continued. Effective immediately, David Klein is terminated for cause. No severance. No benefits continuation. Personal belongings will be mailed. Klein's face crumpled like paper in a fire. Robert, please. I have a family. You should have thought about your family before you called the police on our most valuable client. Morrison's voice cut like a blade. Security will escort you out. Now. Two guards who'd been waiting in the wings stepped forward. Klein struggled to his feet, his expensive suit wrinkled and stained with tears and sweat. As they led him past Marcus, he stopped. Mr. Washington, I'm sorry. Truly sorry. Marcus studied him with the detached interest of a scientist observing a lab specimen. Mr. Klein, you're sorry you got caught. That's not the same as being sorry for your actions. Klein opened his mouth to protest, but the security guards guided him toward the exit. The revolving door spun one final time, carrying away his 20-year banking career in 30 seconds of disgrace. Morrison turned to Sarah Mitchell, who was still slumped against the wall like a discarded mannequin. Sarah Mitchell, terminated immediately. Same terms as Klein. Sarah didn't even look up. She simply nodded and whispered, I understand. Jennifer Hayes, suspended without pay pending full investigation. You'll be contacted by HR within 48 hours. Jennifer's phone clattered to the marble floor. Mr. Morrison, I was just following protocols. Protocols don't include suggesting customers visit community branches based on their race, Morrison snapped. Consider yourself fortunate that suspension isn't termination. Emma's live stream captured every moment of corporate justice playing out in real time. Her comment section exploded. Heads are rolling! This is what accountability looks like. Klein walking out like a defeated Napoleon. Morrison pulled out his own phone and began typing with the urgency of a war correspondent filing breaking news. What are you writing? Marcus asked. Public statement. Goes live in 30 minutes across all platforms. Morrison held up his screen. Statement from CEO Robert Morrison. First National Bank. Today, our Manhattan flagship branch failed catastrophically in serving one of our most valued clients. 3 employees engaged in discriminatory behavior that violated every principle our institution claims to uphold. Effective immediately. Regional Manager David Klein. Terminated. Senior Teller. Sarah Mitchell. Terminated. Branch Manager Jennifer Hayes. Suspended pending investigation. We acknowledge that Mr. Marcus Washington was subjected to treatment that was racist, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable. His decision to transfer $276 million to J.P. Morgan Chase was not only justified, it was the predictable result of institutional failure. This incident represents a wake-up call that will drive immediate comprehensive reform across our entire organization. Marcus read the statement twice, then nodded approvingly. A good start, Robert. Now let's discuss the systematic changes. Morrison sat heavily in the chair opposite Marcus, looking like a man who'd aged 5 years in 5 hours. I'm listening. Whatever you want. Marcus opened his briefcase and withdrew a leather-bound folder thick with documentation. I've spent the last 20 minutes drafting a comprehensive reform package. Consider this my consulting proposal. He slid the folder across to Morrison, who opened it with the reverence of someone handling religious scripture. The Washington Protocols. A framework for bias elimination in financial services. Morrison's eyes widened as he scanned the contents. Phase 1. Immediate implementation. 30 days. AI-powered bias detection systems installed at all 847 branches. Real-time monitoring of customer service interactions. Automatic escalation, when discriminatory language detected monthly bias reports submitted to federal regulators. Phase 2. Training revolution, 90 days. Mandatory 40-hour unconscious bias. Certification for all staff. External diversity consultants conduct branch audits, role-playing scenarios based on real discrimination cases. Performance reviews now include inclusive service metrics. 25% weight. Phase 3. Customer protection. 120 days. Anonymous bias reporting mobile app. Independent Ombudsman Office staffed by civil rights attorneys. Automatic Compensation Fund, $100 million allocated public transparency dashboard tracking complaints and resolutions. Phase 4. Leadership accountability, ongoing. Executive bonuses tied to branch-level inclusion scores. Board-level diversity committee with monthly reporting. CEO compensation includes 15% metric for equitable service. Whistleblower rewards, $25,000 for documented bias incidents. Morrison looked up from the folder with something approaching awe. Marcus, this is revolutionary. The most comprehensive anti-bias program in banking history. It's also expensive, Marcus replied. Implementation costs will run approximately $75 million in year 1. Morrison didn't hesitate. Approved. Full budget authorization. When can we start? We already have. Marcus smiled for the first time since the morning's debacle began. I took the liberty of contacting several technology firms while you were in transit. Installation teams will be here Monday morning. Emma's live stream had captured the entire negotiation. Her viewer count had stabilized at 67,000 people watching the most expensive customer service recovery in corporate history unfold in real time. Morrison pulled out his phone again. I need to call our communications team. This story needs to be framed correctly. Already handled, Marcus said, withdrawing his own phone. I've scheduled interviews with CNN Business, MSNBC, and Bloomberg for tomorrow morning. The narrative will be about transformation, not just punishment. Morrison stared at him with undisguised admiration. You've thought of everything. Robert, I've been thinking about this problem for decades. Today just provided the catalyst for action. As if on cue, Marcus's phone buzzed with an incoming call. He glanced at the screen and smiled. J.P. Morgan Chase CEO, probably calling to thank me for the $276 million deposit. He answered the speaker. Hello, William. Marcus, I just saw the news. Are you all right? Do you need anything? Legal support? Media assistance? Morrison's face went pale as he realized his competitor was already mobilizing to support Marcus. I'm fine, William. Just conducting some impromptu banking education. Robert Morrison is here with me now, and we're making excellent progress on systematic reform. Well, you know Chase is always here if you need us. That transfer this afternoon was the smoothest $276 million we've ever processed. Morrison looked like he might vomit. Marcus ended the call and turned back to Morrison with the expression of a chess master who'd just achieved checkmate. Now, Robert, shall we discuss the timeline for implementing these reforms? Because William seems quite eager to accommodate my banking needs if you're not up to the challenge. Morrison straightened his tie and opened his laptop. Let's get started immediately. I want the first phase operational within 2 weeks, not 30 days. Emma's final comment to her 72,000 viewers perfectly captured the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, we just watched $276 million purchase the most expensive education in corporate America. And somehow, everyone wins. 6 months later, the Washington Protocols had transformed American banking. Marcus Washington became the unlikely face of corporate accountability, his calm dignity that afternoon inspiring a generation of activists to document discrimination with their phones. The viral live stream reached 47 million views across platforms, spawning documentary deals and Harvard Business School case studies. David Klein never worked in finance again. His LinkedIn profile now reads, Freelance Consultant, Corporate Speak for Unemployed. Sarah Mitchell moved to Phoenix and works retail. Jennifer Hayes completed bias training and manages a credit union in Vermont, where she reportedly treats every customer like family. Emma Lane's finance blog exploded to 2.3 million subscribers. She now hosts Banking While Black, a weekly podcast exposing financial discrimination. First National's stock price recovered after 18 months, helped by industry-leading inclusion scores. The Washington Protocols were adopted by 12 major banks voluntarily, proof that sometimes the most expensive mistakes create the most valuable lessons. Marcus's foundation has awarded $15 million in scholarships to students pursuing careers in ethical finance. Have you witnessed discrimination in banking, retail, or service industries? Share your story below. Subscribe to Black Tales Stories, where quiet dignity defeats loud prejudice, one story at a time.